There we go.
One moment, I'm just getting the live stream going.
Who's Casey Bank? Well, cool. I'm excited.
Okay, we are now live streaming on YouTube. Okay. Do you want to go ahead and open the meeting, Nick? Do you want me to put up the agenda
Yeah, sure.
on the screen? What's helpful?
Sure. So 6:32. Well, it's called to order the meeting. Do I need to second that?
No, you don't need to second the call to order or any of the attendance. You just need to go through attendance.
Yep. So we will go through attendance. I believe that Paige and Tess are both excused.
Yeah.
And that would mean Catherine Patton.
Yep.
And then me is also here. So we have me and Catherine and I here. And that's it.
Yep. So given that we don't have quorum, we can't vote on approving the minutes. So that would take us to the public comment section.
Public comment. We have 2 people for public comment tonight. Anybody?
Okay, Nick, I've given Casey the ability to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm not sure. I don't have the agenda in front of me, so I'm not sure if YMCA has an item on this agenda. So that's why I rose my hand for public comments.
Go ahead. It does not look like YMCA is currently on the agenda.
No, it is not.
Oh, okay. Well, I had spoken, oh gosh, 2 weeks ago, maybe at the board meeting, and was referred by Ren Blight and a couple of other folks there to come to this meeting because we had put in a request for an NPG, one of the grants for neighborhood programs. And I'm not sure if you wanted us to talk a little bit more about it, but it's myself and then also one of our teen delegates. We were asking for funding to help our YMCA Youth and Government program with its teen leadership stuff.
Can I ask, have you actually submitted the NPG paperwork, Casey?
I have, yeah. And the, what was it, supplemental kind of our IRS letter and those things?
Yeah.
So
do you happen to recall who you submitted that to?
Here, let me check.
I only asked because I haven't seen it, which doesn't mean that it hasn't been received, but I just want to make sure that we can check with the right person.
Sent it to Colby Jensen, and then I copied Ren Blight on it.
Okay. We'll check with them to see if we can figure out where those documents are so that we can actually get this agendized and voted on. I do apologize, Casey. If you want to give us a little bit of background on it, I think we'd love to hear it.
I would say real quick, Catherine, I used to be a member of the Y and I probably intend to go back there. So I probably have to, guess what? Recuse myself from this.
All right, you can go ahead. You already have your camera off, but turn off your camera, mute yourself. Casey, you can go ahead. Nick won't be allowed to speak for now.
I have just a little bit that I can talk about, but if you don't mind, I also have one of our delegates to talk a little bit about the way that the program has impacted them. Would that be all right for now, or would you rather us wait till it was agendized? Okay, so gosh, where should I start? I will start with, well, my name's Casey. I'm the new executive director at the East Valley Y. And although our YMCA is located in North Hollywood, Our programming has served the East San Fernando Valley, including Toluca Lake, since 1945. Currently, we're seeking support from the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council by way of helping to fund our leadership program for teens. Through the East Valley YMCA, teenagers have the ability to learn about the ways local and state government work, from actually participating in model versions of both. They learn valuable character lessons as they grow and thrive and prepare for their futures. We believe that the more informed our teens are now, the better our future will be. And the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council has actually supported this program in the past, so we're hoping to continue that partnership. And we've actually helped support with our teens the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council's, the Earth Day celebration, the annual Earth Day celebration. So with that, I'd like to hand it off to Django Sparge. He is a teenager and one of the officer delegates of the East Valley Y.
Great. Could Django raise their hand? All right.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Okay. My name is Django Sparge. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Django Sparge, and I have been a delegate at my local YMCA since around 2019 and a member of the Y since I was barely 6. I'm here to give you just a few words about the YMCA and the way in which you can contribute to our cause. So, community engagement has always been upheld to the utmost importance throughout not only my local Y, but those around me. To them, it denotes ideas of truly giving back in tangible ways and supporting those that have allowed themselves to the community. However, to the Y, not only does it encompass all of these things, but that of deep tradition. The mantra that seems to sit within every crack and crevice of the blue and white walls of the East Valley YMCA is that we will never turn anyone away. Never, to those of the East Valley Family YMCA, holds an inordinate amount of value. To me and my friends and family within the annual support campaign, it means working to ensure that that idea stays alive. Throughout my time at the Y, seldom have I felt confident in my financial situations. However, for the last 3 years, I have attended a $1,000 after-school program and a $600 summer camp at the YMCA, both heavily facilitated through annual support campaign. My ability to provide tuition has never inhibited my gracious acceptance into the Y's community. The work that we put into annual support campaign not only directly benefits the delegates in specific, but the ways in which they get to give back in turn. Because of this program, I get to give my best friends and family the same warmth which was allowed to me years before. Your donation actively puts more students in this program, a place which has given me more love and acceptance than any other group of people I know, a place in which I have found my best friends, a place where I have fostered a deep love for depth of conversation and political discourse, and a place I know holds great value in the community. Every dime you send our way will be directly placed towards putting more kids in the program and facilitating a community full of love and feasible return. I appreciate the time you've delegated us enormously, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Django. I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and thank you so much for coming to the meeting this evening. Can I ask a quick follow-up question for most likely you, Casey?
Absolutely.
Which is, what is the timeline for the necessity of this funding? Is it something where it would be utilized within the next month? Or if this is something that is on our November agenda, it would also be okay?
I think that, that's a great question. We're opening our registration now, and we're requesting with the grant $2,000 to help go anywhere between 8 and 10 families that it would help to sponsor. And as long, I suppose, as it came in before the end of the year, it would be able to help students for this season.
Okay. Great. Well, I do apologize that we don't have the actual NPG available for us to review at the moment, nor would we be allowed to vote on it anyway, because we don't have quorum tonight, sure, unfortunately. But I'm going to follow up with Ren and Colby as soon as this meeting is over, just to see where that NPG ended up and whether or not it's getting referred to this committee or if it will be referred to a different committee for some reason. Okay. But we will go ahead and get that figured out. And someone from the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council will be reaching back out to you shortly.
Awesome. And thank you so much for the time. And if you'd like, I can actually forward you the email so that you guys have a copy for your own records.
Yeah, you can go ahead. My email is available on the website. It's catherine.hatton@gtlnc.org.
Is that HATTON?
Yes.
And .org. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you both.
Yeah. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
As well.
Bye-bye.
Right, thanks. Okay. Nick, I don't know if you're still there and can hear us, or if I need to text you to come back.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Welcome back. All right, both those folks signed off the meeting. We do have Robin here. So, hi, Robin. Welcome to Outreach and Elections. It's a quiet
Thank you.
meeting
I
this
just
evening.
saw Nick's text. I'm glad you're on. I was worried after I saw the text.
I didn't know how it was going to happen because I'm like, I don't know how to start any of this. And then
Right,
I texted
right.
Catherine. It's like, I'm on it. So,
Yeah, Catherine's great.
yeah,
Don't worry about it, guys.
she's on top of it. So yeah, but I mean, I am down to talk about some stuff tonight, and I do want to get moving on some stuff. So I don't know if you want to talk about stuff, but I think
I mean, I have one thing that I would like, or I guess two things that I would like to bring up. The first is with last night's Governmental Affairs Committee meeting, we discussed the potential for sending out a survey. And I wanted, actually, Robin, I'm so glad you're on the call now.
Sure.
I wanted to see if we have like a Survey Monkey or some other survey type account, or if a Google form would be the best option.
We may. I could ask Lisa, because I know Lisa's done surveys in the past. So I can see if Lisa, our social media gal has something like that. What kind of survey do you want to do?
So last night we were discussing redistricting.
Are you guys breaking up?
I hear some crackling.
I hear some crackling. I'm not sure if that's me.
Yeah.
We all know my internet.
You're going to have to upgrade one of these days, Catherine.
Why? What do you have?
Believe me, I don't want to
Mail it. Okay.
Say bad things about my ISP live on YouTube, but we were discussing putting out a survey related to the city council redistricting. Proposal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sort of trying to gauge what people want out of the city council district, i.e., do they want it to be entirely in the valley, mostly in the valley, partially in the valley? Yeah. Do they not care? Do they want it to go further to the north, further to the west, east, south, whatever? I'm
curious what is best for us. Like, I'd be curious to hear why staying where we are, being with the, over the hill, being only in the valley. Like, I'm just wondering, I mean, I do personally feel that because CD4 is all over the place, they can't focus on any one particular, not that they would, but I do feel they're very spread thin.
Yeah. And it's sort of one of those issues, and Nick's talked about this a lot, where, you cross a street and you're in another district, and
right.
That can happen multiple times if you're just traveling in a straight line, and you're kind of like, well, why is it like that? So yeah, we were thinking about putting out a survey in relation to that in order to get info so that the neighborhood council could do a CIS and take an official position.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That so that was why I was wondering if we had a Survey Monkey or similar account. We can always use Google Forms.
Could you send me an email that asks what you need, and and either copy Lisa on it or send it to me and I will forward it to Lisa.
Okay, I'll copy both of you.
Great.
Thanks.
The other thing that I don't know how to deal with the elephant in the room, but there is one.
Okay.
And so, well, the implication is that our elected official is going to change.
Oh.
And so, I don't know how to ask. I mean,
You mean for advice?
Well, no.
So,
how do you say to them, if we end up in Gregorian's district, are you going to be upset? Do you want to stay in Raman's district? That's the real life implication of what happens.
Oh.
So I wrote to, or I called Gibson today to see if he could give us some guidance on this. I haven't heard back. It was towards the end of today, but I am wary of us asking people, do you want to be in CD2 or CD4? Because especially if we were, as the neighborhood council, to then take a position on that, it would essentially be endorsing a particular city council member. And I think that's sort of dangerous for us to do.
Because she's already aware of the fact that our area was in support of David Rue initially, when the election happened.
Well, and let's not discuss what our area supports as far as which candidate. I'm more saying, like, we should not be saying we want to be in X district. We should be saying we want our district to be these areas, not selecting a particular district number or that. I will note one thing that's sort of weird about the map. If you look at, and I'm sorry, Nick, this is totally off topic for outreach and elections, but if you look at the map, currently the planned map has only two areas that don't have numbers assigned, and they are listed as either CD2 or CD4. And one of those areas contains portions of the current CD2, CD4, and a little bit of, I think, CD7 maybe. And the other area literally contains no portion of the current CD2 or CD4. So right now the proposed map has either CD2 or CD4 becoming an area that contains literally no one that currently voted for one of those council members, unless they happen to move.
Which is crazy. I mean, like, this redistricting thing is, I
I don't know that there's a right answer to any of this, but that was something I found interesting looking at the maps, is the fact that one of the districts will have a council member that wasn't elected by anyone in that district.
I mean,
which is
either way,
strange choice. So I think we could take a position on saying we don't want any council districts to have boundaries that don't include, at minimum, a portion of the current district, if that makes sense.
I want to get guidance from Gibson. I just feel like it's so bizarre, and honestly, like, I have an opinion about it as far as what's actually happening to someone, and this is like a targeted thing. But that aside, I don't know. Let's talk to Gibson, because I find this so interesting. But
yeah, and I'm sorry for hijacking this conversation and sending it way off topic.
It's not at all, because I'll tell you, this is all about outreach, because in a way, because it affects. I don't know. I mean, it. I don't know. I don't know. It's all good. I'm happy to spend our time, doing good stuff and talking about business is good. So anyway, the other thing, do you want to are we done? We
can move on.
Okay. The big thing I need to unpack, and I really, my biggest thing right now is the social media situation. I just feel that she is grossly overpaid, and the amount of work that she does, she's got to be making, I can't even imagine she spends more than 4 hours a month doing what she does, and she gets paid $1,200 a month to do it. And I got an email from some constituents directly talking about this, about how our social media engagement is exceptionally poor. We don't even need it, frankly. And it takes up half of our budget. And my inclination is to say, listen, I'm happy to keep you on. I'm happy to keep you on at a fair price, but I think it's between $250 and $500 a month at most. And anything more than that feels to me wrong. And I don't know how to say that. And I don't even know how much of this is even my decision, because all I do is chair this committee, and I don't even think I make a budgetary decision. I can just basically make a recommendation to the board, and then we can vote on it. I mean, you're not for nothing, but we're having the outreach meeting. She didn't even show up, and this is her job. And so I don't know how to react to that. You know what I mean? It just, to me.
Wait, are you talking about Lisa?
Mm-hmm.
Was she invited?
I mean, I don't know.
Was she invited?
No, but I would
she's
imagine.
never come to an outreach meeting unless she's been invited.
Okay, well, I would say that if you were doing a job and your job was involved with outreach, you should come to the meeting every month. And I shouldn't have to ask her to do that. And that's an expectation that I frankly don't find ridiculous. But it just,
I think it's a reasonable expectation, but we also have to consider two things. One, if she has not been asked to do it, and two, we would be paying for her time.
Yeah,
all of that. But the point is that if we are to calculate the amount of time that we're paying right now, it's just not right. And it's not right to the budget that we have. And I don't think it's right to the board, because we have $32,000 a year we can spend on things like, I don't know. I really did truly recuse myself. All I know is that the YMCA wants money, and the school that I go to, that my kid goes to, wants money. And, those are the kind of things that I'd rather see our money get spent on. Than
I would be careful saying what you would prefer to see our money get spent on.
I apologize. I would rather see it go into the community, right, directly, rather than go into somebody's, social media management, for 6 clicks a month. And that's the thing that I mean, it's nothing personal. I don't mean to but I can't for the life of me. I've paid social media managers before to manage my social media pay-per-click accounts, and I paid them less than that. Significantly.
So I would say, I believe that it's great to put money back into the community. I think there's a larger conversation to be had about how we can be most effective as a neighborhood council, and whether or not we want to prioritize, giving money directly to the community versus using our money to more effectively inform and educate the community about city governance and city services. And this is not taking a position on either of those, but I do feel like there are people who have expressed interest in us doing better outreach, and that might mean identifying a different approach to it, which may mean hiring someone else or doing it internally or using volunteers. But I do think that there has been a lot of discussion about the fact that we need to do better with outreach. And so I don't know that the concern is necessarily how much money we're spending, but more so what we're getting as a return on that investment.
I pardon me for even saying that, because now that I think about it, I completely agree with you. I don't disagree that half of our budget is spent on outreach. What I disagree with is that half of our budget is spent on outreach and it's 6 clicks a post. That's unacceptable. And so that, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's it. I mean, what we decide to do with money, but I think I feel like outreach is such a critical thing. I mean, look, everything that we do here is either everything we do here needs to be talked about, because there's a lot of stuff that affects people directly. I don't know. I just
Well,
feel
can I ask you a question, Nick?
Mhm.
First of all, I know that Lisa, because I've been working with her now for quite a while, she's extremely flexible and she's willing to do anything, really. I mean, she's extremely flexible. And if you were to suggest other ways to utilize her or reach out in other ways, I mean, I think before you look at, because as you know, we talked about this at a while back, where if let's just say tomorrow you cancel Lisa. I don't know how you say it. You just stop. We're not going to use her anymore. Anything we do going forward has to be researched, probably get several bids. You have to go through the executive, then you have to go through the board, then you have to send it to the city. The city has to approve it. It takes months and months. And you and I and Catherine may be off the board by the time something is ever reinstated. So rather than looking at, the amount of money, maybe we could talk about how we can reassess what's being done and, have her maybe Nick, she's wide open. If you were to come up with some other
graphic designer, I mean, what does she do? Because listen, I mean, if she can do $1,500 of work a month towards, or $1,250 or whatever the math is towards a month, and I get the value for it, that's fine. But
do you have any ideas about how you can actually engage the community? Because that newsletter,
a couple of things we can do. I think the newsletter needs to be in a printed version. I think we need to do physical mail blasts, because I think they're more effective than the digital stuff. And I think we need to have, a sort of a print,
Yeah, but by the time the newsletter goes out, it's old information.
No,
I want to just highlight for you, Nick, when it comes to physical mail, that's not something we can do regularly. It cost us a little over $5,000 to do one mailer last year to everyone in our area. I
didn't even get it. So that $5,000 didn't. Not at either location. I have 2 addresses, not at either location. The only reason I ever saw it was because I was in a store on Riverside Drive when the mail lady walked in with it. That's the only time I saw it. And I asked several of my neighbors if they received that postcard, and they said no.
Okay. I want to talk to you and get those addresses offline, because this is on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I want to know if we did not if there was an issue where one of the zip codes didn't get done, or one of the mail routes didn't get done.
Yeah.
Because then we should ask for some money back if they failed to send it to one of the areas.
Yeah. Well,
but physical mailing, and, again, look, Nick, you probably get lots of mail and you get lots of email.
I do.
What is it that is interesting to you? And you're very engaged. So
the only reason I'm sitting here is because I got something in the mail.
Yeah.
And as much as I throw things away, at this point, do you know how many emails I look at every day?
Exactly.
Thing passed. So to me, I mean, it's funny because people say, "Oh, well, print media is dead." I'm not 1,000% sure that's true. I mean, I think that there's.
Well, it is for a younger generation. I think there's still an older generation
of like newspapers and stuff like that. But I'm
feeling attacked, Robin.
I'm sorry. but do you, Catherine, do you get a lot of mail these days?
No, I mean, honestly, I get like a bunch of donation requests.
Yeah. That's still.
But you still get every piece of mail, and you still basically look at every single thing you get, even those flyer things. I can tell you, I mean, I look at each one of them before I throw it away. I just don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do glance at it.
And it's like, even if it's just, get involved in your community or like whatever, listen, I mean, if we can reallocate $15,000 a year to the community, whatever it looks like, I'm not intent on doing anything other than just getting the value. But if I could forward you the email that I got from Hannah, it was just, there's nothing you could say back to it. It was incorrect about what she said.
What was the email from Hannah?
Huh?
What was the email from Hannah?
It was just, we're spending $15,000 a year on 6 likes on a Facebook post.
Oh, I see.
And I don't understand what the money's being spent on, and that's not fair to us. And I said, how can I argue with any of that statement? I can't. And so to me, it's
one thing that I'm wondering is, I think part of it is that we are not producing content that is connecting with the audience. And I am not putting that on Lisa. Lord knows all of us should be contributing to content.
Yeah. So maybe that's what the outreach committee should be doing, is creating content. They had talked about a calendar and
is figure out how to develop sort of information campaigns for what do we want to highlight in this month? What local issues are happening that we want to produce an infographic? I mean, Canva is
that
free.
Would be great. That would be fantastic.
To develop a little infographic to go in Canva, or you can develop like infographics in Canva. They have templates.
No, I use Canva all the time for my business. It's great.
Well, but each committee could put their bullet points of what's going on from that month, and we get it into the newsletter.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, and I think another thing that we need to work on is making sure our meetings are something that the public really gets information at, because, sometimes obviously we have people who have concerns that are coming and, we want to hear them out, but we also have sort of an opportunity to give the public information that they might not get otherwise. And if we kept our meetings brief,
shorter,
informative, I think more people would be interested in attending, or at a minimum be interested in watching it later on YouTube. And I have no idea if this is even possible, but if we wanted to like pull certain clips out on YouTube and make like little, get ourselves a TikTok and do shorter clips or something of just a little video update.
That's
portion,
great, Catherine.
Something that's easy for people to consume. Not really suggesting we get a TikTok. I have no idea how to use TikTok.
I love TikTok.
We just do dances, Robin.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just interesting because it's like, how much information goes out, and then, what's the information about, and I don't know. The biggest thing, I don't know. I'm happy to increase her load, but like.
Well, I really think, Nick, you and Paige, I mean, I know she's unavailable now, but I think your committee needs to really look at the best way to get our message out and what we want to put out on social media. And the more content you guys can create and produce like with Canva or with videos or whatever, and we get it on in the newsletter. I think the newsletter is fairly old. It's been, utilized for quite a while. I know that the homeowners and the chamber all have newsletters. They go out regularly. Their content is easy enough to look at and get through and see what's current and what's happening. I mean, I don't know if you get the homeowners and the chamber newsletter, Nick, but you should probably subscribe so you can see what's happening. And maybe look at other outreach committees in other areas and see what's working for them. But in our area, I think we have 12,000 residents. Is that right?
Yeah, 12 to 13.
I mean, we're a very, very, very small neighborhood council, and our reach isn't really going to go beyond those 12,000, residents. So, I think, we just even getting people to come to our meetings is pretty limited. We haven't had big turnouts like Sherman Oaks. Sherman Oaks gets hundreds of people. And even
Really?
in the best of times when we used to meet in person, Toluca Lake, I think our board and our committees took up more place in the auditorium than the public.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of times where we outnumbered the people in the audience.
Yeah. So, I think we're doing the best we can for the small territory that we have. We are a small community. So,
I don't agree. I just,
well, you're the outreach chair. You would know
that's
best.
what I want to see. I mean, it's funny because I reached out to North Hollywood to find out what they did and they just never got back to me. And so I reach out to people and it's frustrating to me. Like, yeah, I try to do that, but I don't get a response. So, if somebody who I can get in touch with at any other ones, I'm happy to reach out.
Yeah, I don't. I've attended a few other neighborhood council meetings. Maybe go to some of their meetings.
Yeah, I'll dig a little harder into Sherman Oaks because I didn't realize that. I figured North Hollywood was the one.
Sherman Oaks is pretty big, and they did a forum for the 4 council people that were running, and there were tons of people there. And we did a forum, and I'm trying to think. I don't think we had tons, but we did do a forum.
Well, listen, I think not for nothing, but I think we're doing a pretty decent job, but nobody knows about it. It's frustrating because there's like 4 people that show up to our meetings and they're always the same people.
Well, that's been the case for years.
Is that just a general? What's different?
That's just what's been happening. It's nothing personal. It's not you leading this committee and whoever outreach. Oh, it's Kelly and Tony, I think. That's just the nature of our committees. And quite frankly,
I don't care about the committee meetings, to be honest with you.
I see.
Showing up at committee meetings. I care about the public showing up at the regular meetings. And I care about the public showing up and feeling heard and involved. And
we get more people when there's an issue they want to hear about. Right.
And I think the biggest issue that we've had, we have sort of in our immediate background, in our backyard, we have dealt with the 3 biggest problem areas in our district. I can't get over how important I think that is. I was walking Eva to school yesterday and I saw this dad on his bike. He's got his bike and he's got a trail bike behind it and then another bike on top. He takes 2 kids to school every day. And he's making a left off of Whipple underneath the 101. And I said, how do you like the underpasses? He's like, oh my God, they're so great. You know what I mean?
Isn't that great? So
it's like one of those things.
Yeah, we're all very, very pleased with the cleanups. Just in general, just to see that things are being cleaned. Our city's felt so dirty for so long. It's lovely.
And I think it's such an important. But the thing that I don't want to have happen is that I want people to understand that these people were offered services. I want people to understand.
Oh, and they were.
And I want people to understand that this was not some Gestapo move of things. This is you are not entitled to pitch a tent anywhere you want in the city, and you will not do it within 500 feet of our schools. That is a hard line that I feel that our constituents will gladly stand behind. And frankly, that was a law that was passed in 55 and 4118. And I don't have a desire to chase homeless people all over the city. But what I do have a desire to is to have that man smile again every time he takes his kids to school every day. And that's sort of the hill that I wanted to put it on, because it's like, listen, I understand that probably we did not fix the homeless crisis in Los Angeles. And I do not want anybody to sit here and think that that's what I'm under the delusion of believing. But what we did was we made an incremental victory, and we also, really offered services to people. And I think on some level, there is some kick in the pants that needs to happen in order to get people into services. And I don't know what that exactly looks like, but I know that when you're building an apartment underneath the 101, that's a little comfy for me. And the guys walking to school. Anyway, I can go on forever. The point is that there was so much that went on in these 3 weeks. And, I feel like the public is like, they have no idea what happened. You know what I mean? The underpasses are clean. So and I think that again, that's, we had one of the biggest issues in our district get dealt with. And it's like nobody really seems to either care or know what happened. And that upsets me.
Well, I no, I disagree. I do think people care.
Okay.
I do.
No, I think they care. No,
Yeah.
Pardon me. I think they care. But I don't think they know exactly what happened. And I don't think they know
well, that's why it's imperative that at the general board meeting, at whatever committee that might be, or whoever wants to bring it up, because you're going to talk about outreach, maybe talk about that,
right? And
just say we're so pleased, and this is a step in the right direction, or whatever it is that you want to say. But I think it's your moment to kind of speak on behalf of what you've seen. And really, that's really what it is you're talking about what you have observed.
Right.
And you commend the city, because that's who public safety, I'm trying to think who brought it up. And they said, who do we thank? I think it was Sean who asked that. Right. And I think Curtis Delbar said, tell your council person. So right. We have to commend the city, whoever the powers that be are. We have to, acknowledge the good work that they've done.
I agree. And that's, I sent an email to Mehmet. I thought I CC'd everybody on it. Maybe I didn't CC you two on it. I thought I had, but just thanking him and congratulating him.
Yeah, it's great.
And Liz O.
I heard she's leaving.
No, she left. So
yeah, she wasn't there very long.
No, it didn't take long. And I would imagine that's a bone crushing job. I don't envy her.
Can you imagine?
And I know that when I spoke with her, we did not have a very pleasant conversation. And I think, it was just, she said, so I couldn't believe she said it. And I just, we kind of got into an argument about semantic words for homeless people. And I was just, sort of taken aback by the whole thing. And I was just like, it was just like one of those things. But, I've sent a series of emails, and it's really funny. I remember I sent an email on, I think it was the 29th of August, that all this stuff is going to get implemented on the 1st of September. And we need to have everything done by the end of the month. And both Delbar and Mehmet got back to me and said, you're nuts if you think those underpasses are going to get cleaned up in the next month.
Wow.
And here they are. So I don't know what happened. It was partially Nazarian, I think, because, well, I'm going to leave the politics out of it, but I think Nazarian had a lot to do with it, because when you ask Mehmet directly about it, he doesn't say that CD4 had all that much to do with it. I think it was more CD2.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
But Nazarian is our assemblyman. Kokorian is our CD2.
I meant Kokorian. I do apologize. My Armenian is terrible. I get Kokorian and Nazarian. It's like Smith and Baker. Kokorian, I believe Kokorian had more to do with it. And, the next step is really getting Nazarian to clean up the actual Caltrans areas that are there. And they're sort of setting up a little encampment over on the side on Moore Park, and I don't know.
Okay, I think we're
off into something else,
the realm of homeless.
Yes, in the homeless world. Anyway, let's reel it back in here. But the point is that I just wish people knew, who to thank and what to do. And then the other thing is, there's also a series of things we can do as a community to stop it from happening again. And, the thing that Delbar said to me over and over again was, when he asked people why they stay there, is because people bring him food and bring him furniture, which is bananas to me. And listen, I'm not trying to tell people not to be generous to the homeless. Jesus, no. but I need to do it in an intelligent way that's coordinated and that, helps Hope of the Valley or helps the church on Thursday mornings feed them, or, whatever you can do to do things that make you feel good that will impact the community in a positive way. But I need you to do it in a coordinated way that doesn't cause rodents or, whatever. I mean, there was so many problems as a result of this. And Delbar would tell me about this all the time. And so, these are the kind of, outreach things that it's like, these are the granular level that it's like, man, I wish, it's like, I wish I had a YouTube, thing. And maybe it's on me. Maybe I just need to create that fun content about this kind of stuff. And just maybe I'll just do it. I'll make a TikTok video about what we can do to really help a homeless person, how we can really help people instead of just making ourselves feel good about saying that we're helping, what are the things we can really impact, their lives, with donations and things like that. So it's just those little things, how do we get those words out? And it's like, yeah, I hate to get back to it again, but if that's Lisa's job, she should be doing it.
Well, it's not Lisa's job to come up with any content necessarily. That is our job. Our job as a council. We need to figure out what our message is, and she implements it. So she will create the newsletter. She will post on social media. She will make sure that our agendas get to the website. I mean, that's a lot of what she does. And it is time consuming. And as Colby once said to you, we're all volunteers. So to have somebody that we can.
Robin, I hear you. I just, I'm more concerned with the value. I'm not saying she doesn't.
No,
spend time,
I understand.
It's $1,250 a month. That is, you do the hourly. I don't think she does that. I don't.
Well, she bills hourly, and I unless she's. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I said she bills hourly.
She bills.
She
No, I don't believe so. I mean, I could be way off base. I'm not sure. I thought she billed hourly.
Yes, I believe that those bills are hourly.
Yeah. So it's, I think it can't exceed a certain amount, or I'm not really sure, Nick, but
so she's actually submitting hourly pay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
deliverables on it and everything. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She has to submit it every, a time card. That's why she has to submit that to Arthur.
I mean, I would like to see those, but yeah, we'll have a look at those because listen, I'm sure it's not going to be commensurate with what I get at my business, but that's the thing. Look, I just want it to be fair, and I hate that. I feel like part of what I believe in is common sense government, and Eva, honey, please, I love you, baby, so much, but I'm in the middle of something. Okay. I know you do, honey. You're gonna be. No. Okay, can you go upstairs then, just real quick? I'm sorry, guys.
No problem.
I completely derailed my thought. I just want value. I hated that email so much. And listen, I'm sure.
Well,
that's it. That's
Catherine. Does Hannah have extensive awareness of all this? I mean, you're looking at the bottom line of, maybe I haven't seen the
when
email.
You say of all this, do you mean of our social media?
Hannah's email obviously is addressing us the amount of we spend on social media or whatever. I'm not sure because I haven't seen the email. I'm questioning.
I'll skim it.
Does Hannah have any awareness of the cost or just the bottom line? Like, I don't know
I'm sure she does have an awareness of the cost because that's public record, obviously, what we pay. But I think the concern that she's expressed, and it's been expressed by plenty of other people, and I think I agree with it, is we don't have great engagement. And this is a bit of a chicken and egg scenario. I don't know that it is the fault of Lisa.
Yeah.
I do know that, some of the complaints that we've received are in relation to the fact that we include links in the caption for Instagram when Instagram is set up so that you can't follow a link from Instagram.
Yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah, you have to go to the bio. I believe that's what Instagram works.
And so, there are ways to work around that. There are things like link trees and whatever that you can click on to be like, here's what we've been talking about for the last week or whatever. Mm-hmm. But
let me read to you what she said.
I do think that
well, can you just send me the email?
We don't have great engagement. And I think we need to be a little more proactive as a board and especially as an outreach committee with producing content to go out there, because relying entirely on our social media manager to produce that content ends up producing content that maybe isn't what we want, but
right.
Although she in it, so who are we to complain?
Right. And she has been on a neighborhood council. She has been in the outreach. I mean, she is very well versed, and the content that she does come up with is actually quite clever and smart for what it is we're trying to do. So my question is, and again, this goes back to the outreach committee, what is it that you want to put out there? I mean, I think the outreach committee needs to be more involved in the content that we're trying to put out there on social media, and they need to do it on a regular basis. So, maybe once a week, starting on Monday, because that's when we start gathering information for the newsletter to go out on Thursday. If the outreach committee can come up with a couple ideas or a couple, like Catherine came up with a great thing on composting. She's talking about taking the metro somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of great ideas that we can, maybe bring that up at the next council meeting to kind of spur ideas and have people think, well,
on that note, Robin,
this is a great platform.
Maybe we should have each committee be obligated to submit at least one piece of content each month. Like, have that be something that every committee needs to do.
That's really not a bad.
That'd be great.
And to be honest with you, it could be as simple as just putting the meeting minutes in infographic.
No, because that's all on the website and all of that.
No, I'm not saying, but even just I mean, you don't have to use the exact minutes, but you could just a general what you're doing. It doesn't have to be the minutes.
Maybe, but like what Catherine said is, her committee did composting, so that's what was done from that committee, and there's 4 weeks and 4 committees. So if each month you were obligated to send something, on the first week, the second week, the third week, and then at least each committee has a voice to put something out every month. That might be a great way to start. At least we get more engagement with the community with each of and the committees can say, guess what? We have a guest speaker at our next meeting.
Yeah, I listen, I'm happy to try to utilize that money well. If you guys
I hear you, Nick, but every week this newsletter goes out, and every week, we're trying to find information to put out there. So
okay, I appreciate that, and maybe part of it also could be we're sending out a weekly newsletter. I don't know that is that necessary. Do we have to? Could it be a bi-weekly or even monthly? Because that you get the email fatigue from people, and when they see too many emails from somebody.
Well, I think if you do it, then you miss the window of opportunity because things are always happening, and it's sort of like
well, but then you could do an emergency bulletin if you need to, but I mean, if you're struggling for content on a weekly basis, well, then make it a bi-weekly thing, and then you spend less time doing it.
So I have a alternative suggestion, which is, how much content do we really need in a newsletter? Like, and this is a genuine question. Like, a lot of the time people don't want to see too much stuff. They get overwhelmed.
Well, I think there's only
maybe the
6
answer is
to
we
7
limit.
items. There's only 6 to 7 items. It's not like it's, and when I say struggle, maybe that's a strong word, because there's always lots of things to talk about. But like one of our public members said, they'd like to see more items that are more local. They'd like to see more of a calendar rather than what did he say? I'm trying to think. But, you know, there are lots of things going on in this city, but it would be nice to have it hit more closer to home. So if the outreach wanted to talk about like a survey, or if public safety wanted to say we have an upcoming speaker, or if Plum said, you know, SB 9 and 10, come to this meeting to hear a discussion on how this is going to affect your neighborhood. All of these are really great areas of interest to certain people. So I think we start with the stuff that's happening more local, but you know, we have our meeting and you have to hope that they're gonna come to the meeting, but not everybody does come to meetings. And if they see something, and maybe newsletters is the only thing they look at. They don't attend our meetings, but they look at the newsletter. So you have to think that it's pretty established. It's been there for quite a while.
What's our newsletter engagement like? Because they definitely have statistics on open rates and stuff like that.
Yeah, she sent it out to everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, again, outreach, there's a lot. Okay, here's another suggestion, Nick. And I know you keep talking about the amount of money, but outreach could go sit at the farmer's market once, twice, you know, every week, and talk about neighborhood council. I mean, there's outreach right there in our community that could.
No, I don't disagree that having maybe we could see about having a once a month booth at the farmer's market. It's interesting. I've never been to the farmer. I can't believe I've never been to that farmer's market before. Yeah,
it's getting bigger and it's really expanding. I saw brand new flags out front, and they've got a juice truck that's great. And, you know, it has really grown. And I think the more we can support the farmer's market, the better it is for our community. Because the guy who runs it is a really fantastic guy. And, you know, like you said, you didn't even know there was a farmer's market. That's something we should advertise. That's something we should tell people.
We have to be careful.
About what?
I'm not sure if simply promoting the existence of a farmer's market, which is free for anyone to walk through, is a problem. But of course, we certainly have to be careful not to promote.
Well, then guess what? We could promote that the GTLNC has a booth. Please come by and say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, Nick, there are some in our storage, there are some GTLNC items that we have purchased over the years that are great for giveaways that have our logo on it. So you can sit there and give out, there's pens, I don't know, Catherine was there, she would know.
There are pens, there are some tote bags. I think there are still a handful of little like plastic tumbler type
cups, drinking cups. Yeah. I mean, so you could do a lot of outreach just locally.
Yeah, it's that farmer's market. That's an interesting idea. I really do think, we can get a lot.
And here's another thing. The Toluca Lake Turkey Trot is in November. I know that the Garden Club was asked if they wanted a booth there. And the garden club's going to have a booth, and they're going to do some sort of outreach. And, you know, GTLNC could have a booth there too. And you could be part of the awareness. Hey, are you on our newsletter? Hey, do you know that we have a neighborhood council? I mean, it draws a lot of people. It's a big event. It's in the Chase parking lot on Riverside Drive. I think the Saturday or Sunday before Thanksgiving. And it's another great opportunity to do outreach. And you can sit there with your pens. And I know GTLNC has done it before, but I think you need to think about, there's going to be a harvest festival next month. You can have a booth there, or you can be out with your business cards walking around. Hey, do you know anything about the GTLNC? I mean, there's so many opportunities for outreach.
Right.
So I guess it's as much as you want to engage, Nick.
Well, it's not, I mean, it can't just be me.
Well, no, that's what your committee's about.
No, I understand.
And you can always ask the entire board, and you can.
But my committee now is down. Catherine, you are on the board, right? On the committee, right?
I am on the committee. Yeah.
I just don't even know half the time who's on the damn committee.
Well, who's on your agenda?
No, I know, but Paige was, I felt like Paige was my partner in a lot of this stuff, and then she just went away, and it just like, what am I going to blame her? She's pregnant. I mean, she's about to be induced and have a child.
Okay, let's let her private medical stuff be private.
I apologize. Right. But she's anyway. God bless her. She's busy. And you know, it's sort of.
So we just need to find some solutions and some suggestions on how we can engage the community, how we can utilize the newsletter, because it's already established. It's very hard to start fresh, and you know, why reinvent the wheel? And let's try to be as effective as possible with the money that's already been committed. You know, like I said, we have to start from square one, and then you'll have nothing.
Well, so if we want to get a booth at the
turkey trot at the farmer's market, I'm trying to think who the guy is that runs the farmer's market. Sweet guy, and he's always so accommodating.
I think his name is Rich.
You might be right.
Does that sound right? Yeah, I think I might have an email for him from a couple years ago during Earth Day. So Nick, I'll dig that up and send that to you after this.
Very cool.
Yeah, really, really fun to participate. I've worked the farmers market numerous times for various organizations, and it's a lot of fun to participate.
I drove past, I literally saw the sign the other day because I drive to the post office every day. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe I've never been to that. It's almost like I've never been to Trader Joe's. You know, it's like,
well, it's kind of hidden. And that's why those new signs in front of the bank are so valuable.
It's behind. It's
in the Wells Fargo parking lot on Foreman and Riverside. But it's in the parking lot.
You can't do it on Riverside, but
no.
Yeah. So I guess it sounds like we have a couple things. We're going to try to do a little more in person, which especially now that we can do in person again would be nice. So Nick, you're going to reach out to Farmers Market. Are you also going to reach out on the turkey trot?
Yeah, that's the HOA. And
Robin, I assume you have a contact at HOA.
Yeah,
that you can
Carrie is the president.
Yeah, I know her.
Mm-hmm. Do you know Carrie Negri?
Yeah.
Okay, reach out to her.
Yeah, I will.
And I would also look into the Harvest Festival, which is, again, if you go on the chamber or the homeowners newsletter website, all of that information, all those events, you know, they're extremely active, both of them, the chamber and the homeowners. And you should, you know, use these sort of activities as opportunities for outreach.
And I think if we get scheduled to be at them, we should also add them to our website as like events, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
To say when we're going to be at each of those.
I always advertise their events. They usually send me a flyer or something, you know, because I do get both their newsletters. So I take sort of information from them. Yeah. So everybody kind of crosses over. We're all one community. We all try to support each other. And I'm surprised that GTLNC hasn't been even reached out to, because in the past, many years of these events, GTLNC was always there with a booth, always. I know Jason did it. I know Ryan did it. So.
Yeah, so it sounds like we just need to restart that contact, and that'll be a great solution. And I'm going to say maybe at our general board meeting, we talk about the idea of every committee should submit at least one piece of content each month for the newsletter.
Sure. That'd be great.
Because I would love to see people get more involved. I also, and this is a separate thing entirely, but I want to see every single board member a member of a committee.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Oh, no.
Something happened.
No. Do not when it goes 911. No, stop, Eva. Hello?
Disconnected before reaching an agent. If you still require
Nick, I'm going to mute you. Well, he's got some stuff to deal with right now.
Yeah.
The hazards of these Zooms.
I know. And neither one of you are on camera, right? He's not on camera.
All right.
No.
Quick question to both of you, since neither one of you are on camera. I think the optic at the general board meeting is people want to see our faces. That's just my opinion. But I know that people want to see who we are. And I think we should try to be more on camera more often than not. I mean, I understand if you have to walk away for a second, but like I know when we were in the auditorium and you have to get up to go to the restroom or grab something from the back of the room, you're not in the front. But I do think the optic of us being on camera is extremely important to the outreach to the community, so they see who we are.
Yeah, I understand that. I personally am just grateful when my internet doesn't die. I think you remember the times when I sounded like a robot when I was trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're just one person. We have a board of 14, now 15 people. And I would have to say there's a small amount of us that leave their camera on. So I'm throwing it out there. Just, I think the optics are really important, that people can see us.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just tough. It's, for me, I've got I've got so much, and then half the time my daughter's running around without a shirt on. So
here's the thing: when we get back to live, we're going to be back in an auditorium where you are going to be seen. So
I don't mind that, but I can't have my kid running around without a shirt on in the background, and this is a live YouTube meeting, and I can't. I mean, it's just it is. Okay. I mean, 6-year-old, they throw their clothes off and they run around the house. It's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I definitely do try to turn it on sometimes. Then I get a phone call, I get a text message, I got to pop out and pop back on. If it's okay for me to do that and it doesn't look too bad.
Well, technically, and Catherine, tell me if I'm wrong. When you are on this Zoom for the general board meeting, you're supposed to be engaged in the meeting for that hour or two. And so I understand if there's an emergency.
There are understandable moments if you get a call and you need to step out. You are not supposed to really be texting with people during the meeting. And in fact, I believe that there's a rule. I'm sure it's still the case during Zooms, but when we were at in-person meetings, you weren't supposed to be texting other board members because that would basically be, a Brown Act violation.
Yeah. I just
Good
think,
point.
and believe me, I know it's COVID. I know that we've all gotten very complacent, but I do think that these meetings have to run more professionally. I think people need to sort of dress to that, and they need to, be engaged and look in the camera and not be eating, although we have eaten at our meetings. So, but, I personally feel that, when I'm sitting there, I am representing the GTLNC and I want to look professional. And, I think we've all gotten a little laxed about it. And I'd love to see the board kind of come back to a much more professional image, because I think they will respect us when we're talking about things. So
yeah, I mean, I think that it makes complete sense. And it's not even just about presenting a professional image. I think it's about presenting an image that says we are
care.
invested in this meeting, and we want to hear from you, and we want to communicate to our stake. Like, if we are showing up and we seem like we're not that into it, I can understand why a stakeholder might be like, well, then why should I show up? Like, if these people don't care, why should I? So I think you're absolutely right. And I'm sure there are different ways to approach it, whether it's, making sure our cameras are on or making sure that everyone participates a little bit more. Hopefully I am participating enough.
yeah, no, I always feel you're engaged. Yeah, I do.
I
think we've all gotten a little relaxed with the whole Zoom and being home and being able to turn off cameras. And I think that it needs to be not the norm. I think it needs to be the exception.
But, the other thing, and, this is sort of along those lines of, do you do enough, Catherine, please? I'm there are 4 or 5 people on the board. I don't even know who they are. And the amount of work that you guys, specifically you two, do is unreal. And I feel like that there are 5 people that don't do anything. And I don't know how to engage our own board with outreach. But I think that's something that, came up the other night. I don't know which meeting it was, but it did, and it should. It's an issue.
Well, maybe at the general board meeting, you reach out, plea to the board members who are not on committees to please pick one and join, because we really need you. And maybe just say it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, because it's, I love these board meetings, but it's the same 4 people at them. And it's like, well, there's 14 of us and I'm sick and tired of doing all the homework. It's one of those things that it's like when people ask you to do stuff, it's not that hard if you feel like everybody's participating in it, and then you're just doing your little piece. But when it's, anyway.
And FYI, cool. I could use your bullet points for your outreach meeting. So tonight after the meeting, if you could send me your bullet points.
Sure.
Oh gosh, Rob and I owe you an agenda for environmental. Apologies.
But you got me your bullet points, which I appreciate.
Did get the bullet point.
Well, speaking of that, I think we've actually had a pretty good meeting here. Let's just close with what specifically we're going to do. I'm going to reach out to the turkey trot. I emailed Carrie.
Great. That's fantastic. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's such a fun event. Bring your daughter, because they have all kinds of kids activities too.
Right. Are we doing now? Is there anything for Halloween? Are we doing anything for Halloween? Well,
there is a decorating contest that Tina Smith from Wish Realty, I think she's from, but she was on our board last session. She does a Halloween decorating contest. So it's really fun to see the houses in the neighborhood decorated, and people submit their house.
Now that is something that should be in the newsletter.
And it will be. It will be. Yeah.
Good.
But and then there used to be a bike ride through the neighborhood to look at the decor. But that was Jason's event. And so he would provide a map of several of the houses in the neighborhood, and they would just ride their bikes at their leisure around the neighborhood. That was kind of fun. I know that the homeowners is doing a scavenger hunt, I believe. So you might want to check with Carrie about that as well. I mean, each of the organizations does something. So, and there are a lot of activities within, because the Toluca Lake is, the business is kind of in the middle, but the houses in the area, there's a lot of stop signs and there's no lights and things. So it's a safer place for people to walk or ride their bike. So I think that's why there's always a lot of activity. But
is trick-or-treating canceled this year?
Nope, not this year.
Okay, so
it was last year. Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be that usual insane Toluca Lake?
Well, that's always to be seen.
What is that thing? It's the most bizarre thing now that I'm on the council, but like I don't know if people without children even know, but like it's like that on Halloween, all of the really nice houses in Toluca Lake give away a lot of candy, and people drive 50 miles to come and get candy from Toluca Lake. I mean, that's how popular it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It was, I mean, you can find parking and it is just people everywhere. It's the craziest thing you ever seen. It's like the whole Toluca Lake just gets overrun with people. And I as much as I kind of like it, I kind of don't. It's sort of like at a certain point, there's so many people that don't live anywhere close to here coming into our neighborhood.
Well, you also have to remember that a lot of people live in areas that are not safe to trick or treat. So,
you know what?
As much as the community is overrun.
Yeah. No, if we're okay with it,
it's up to each individual house to determine whether they're going to give out 4,000 pieces of candy. So, no, don't laugh. That's a real number. No,
it's just the way that you said that was you give out 4,000 pieces of candy.
Yeah.
It's like, and I remember that it was maybe the heyday of it was like 5 years ago. And then you could see like every year after that, like a couple houses would be like, okay, we're done. We're not doing this anymore.
Well, it gets expensive. It gets expensive. Of course it does. Yeah.
Of course it does.
And the atmosphere changes at a certain time.
Well, it does. And that was my point, that at a certain point, it feels a little like, a little, it gets a little dicey in there, but there's never been any crime. So I guess that's just, I should stop being a stereotype of white. Never mind. But we should just, I'm excited and I'm excited to keep.
Yeah. Nick, I think you have a lot to move forward with. I think this was a very productive meeting, and even though it was just the three of us,
hey, listen, all you need to have is 2 people that got brains to have a good meeting, and we had 3 tonight. So thank you guys very much.
You're welcome, Nick. Thank you for chairing the meeting.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, I guess we can close. You guys will get me all the information that I'm going to need to reach out with all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's try to get more communication about everything to Lisa and see if we can just pump things up and get content. But that's where we'll go from here. So I'll bring up, maybe at the general board meeting, I will bring up the idea to everybody that all the committees need to get us content if they can. And, or do you think that's a better email?
I think it's good to do at the meeting,
Okay.
People are almost more likely to pay attention if it's at a meeting than if it's in an email.
Cool. So can we get me on the agenda to do some announcements?
You are on the agenda.
Oh,
yeah, that can
You're
be part
always
of
on
your
the
committee
agenda.
report.
Yeah, it's your committee report.
Right. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So then I'll make a good committee report this month for outreach.
Yeah, send me your bullet points, please. You'll be on because you'll give me your list of the things you're going to talk about, just the topics.
Oh,
every week, let's see, every month before the exec meeting, which is next Tuesday, you send me by Wednesday, which is tomorrow, all of your bullet points for your, they're basically topics that you're going to discuss during your committee report.
Oh, wow.
So they're bullet
Oh.
points. So if
Right.
you were to say homeless update, or if you were to say outreach turkey trot, then
Right.
it's on the agenda and you can say, oh yeah, I need to talk about that. And then anybody who looks at the agenda can see that you're going to address that. And they can stay for public comment, or they could ask about something because they see it on the agenda.
Okay. All right, great.
So yeah, if you could get me those bullet points by tomorrow, that would be fantastic.
Today's Wednesday, by the way.
Oh my God. By today, 7 o'clock, which was 50 minutes ago. So you're behind, Nick. Get on it.
All right, ladies. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Nick. Have a good night.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Catherine.
night, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
All right. All right. Bye.
The meeting's adjourned.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.
What time meeting is adjourned at?
7:52.
7:52.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.